circles. Okay, we've been dealing with circles, and the last thing that we need to do with circles here is we need to be able to write the equation of a circle. Now, this is something that you did in Math 2 a little bit. You wrote the equation of a circle. We're just going to take it like one step further in Math 3, so they're going to be more multi-step problems. So sometimes we may have to use midpoint and distance to be able to write the equation of a circle. So we're going to start with reviewing that. Now, I see a few people have already started on the worksheet, and that's fine, but just so everybody's on the same page, I'm going to teach it to you from scratch. The green paper there has all the formulas you're going to need over the next couple of days: midpoint, distance, and equation of a circle. So we're going to start with midpoint. Okay, midpoint is really, really easy. It's a point in the middle of two other points, so it's kind of like it's the average. Okay, the way I always remember the equation is that it's the average of the 2 points. If I'm trying to find the average, I add them together and divide by 2, right? That's how you find the average of something. If you have 2 values, you add them together, you divide by 2. So you add your x's together, you divide by 2. You add your y's together, and you divide those by 2. So let's just look at a simple example here. Find the midpoint of the line segment with the given endpoint. So number 1 there on your worksheet. Okay, if we're finding the midpoint here, then we add the x values together, divide by 2. We add the y values together and divide by 2. And then we're going to simplify. Negative 10 plus 4 is negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 is halfway between negative 10 and positive 4. It's 7 units from each one. Okay, negative 1 plus negative 7 is negative 8. Negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. Negative 4 is halfway between negative 1 and negative 7. It's 3 units away from both points. Okay, so that is the midpoint of those 2 points. So in the context of a circle problem, where midpoint may come up is they may say, here are the endpoints of your diameter. Okay, the endpoints of the diameter are at negative 10, negative 1, 4, negative 7. What would be the midpoint in a circle if those 2 points are the endpoints of the diameter? What would be the point in the middle of that diameter? Okay, it's half of those numbers, but in terms of a circle, what's in the middle of your diameter? It's a point. What point is in the middle of your diameter? The center of the circle, right? In the middle of the diameter is the center of your circle. So in this case, if those were the endpoints of our diameter, negative 3, negative 4 would be the center of our circle, which is part of what we need to write the equation. Okay, let's put a little twist on this. Okay, let's look at number 7 on your worksheet. Number 7 says, given the midpoint and one endpoint, find the other endpoint. Okay, given the midpoint and one endpoint, find the other endpoint. So let's look at it this way. All right, I'm going to label these x's and y's just to keep them straight in my mind. Okay, so when I add the 2 endpoints together and divide them by 2, I get the midpoint. So when I add the x value of the endpoint, it's really snowing, by the way, just glance real quick. When I add the x value of the midpoint to I don't know the other endpoint and divide by 2 and set that equal to, I'm going to get the x value of my midpoint. Okay, so I'm setting up my midpoint equation for my x's. I know one of my endpoints. I don't know the other endpoints. I'm going to put an x here. I divide those by 2. I get the x value of my midpoint. How do we solve for x? What do we need to do to solve for x? Multiply by 2 first. Okay, multiply by 2 first. So we get 9 plus x is equal to negative 10. Then what do? Subtract 9 from both sides. So our x, our other x, is negative 19. Check it. Make sure it makes sense. If this is the x of my other endpoint, negative 19 plus 9 is negative 10. Negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. Okay, let's do that same process with my y's. The y-coordinate of the endpoint I know is 4. I don't know the other endpoint, so I'm just going to put a y there. I divide that by 2, and I get the y value of my midpoint. Okay, so solve this one the same way. Multiply both sides by 2. 4 plus y equals 4. Subtract 4. Y equals 0. Good morning. Get here just in time to maybe leave. Okay, we get 0. Check it. Make sure it makes sense. If my y value is 4, my other y value is 0, divide that by 2, I get 2. Okay, so my other endpoint is the point -19, 0. My other endpoint is -19, 0. Okay, let's do another one like that. Let's do another one like that. What's up, baby? I don't have it. Thank you. All right, let's do another one like that. Okay, we know one endpoint is -9, -9. The midpoint is 7, -6. So let's set it up. Okay, I know my x-coordinate is -9. I don't know the other one. So I add x, divide by 2. That gives me the x-coordinate of my midpoint. Solve it. Multiply both sides by 2. -9 plus x equals 14. Add 9. My x-coordinate equals 23. Check it. -9 plus 23. -9 plus 23 is what? 14? 14 divided by 2 is 7. Okay, let's find the y-coordinate. I know my one y-coordinate is -9. I don't know the other one. When I divide that by 2, my midpoint, the y-coordinate of my midpoint is -6. So multiply both sides by 2. -9 plus y equals -12. Add 9 to both sides. Y equals -3. Check it. -9 plus -3 is -12. -12 divided by 2 is -6. So my endpoint, my other endpoint is 23, -3. Okay?